Imagine a life completely cut off from the modern world, no cities, no roads, no electricity, no communication. Just endless Siberian wilderness stretching as far as the eye can see. This was the reality for the Lykov family, who lived in total isolation for nearly 3 decades, surviving in one of the harshest environments on Earth. In the early 1930s, the Soviet government was intensifying its control over rural populations, leading many to fear persecution, especially religious minorities like the Lykovs. To escape this, the family made a drastic decision. They fled deep into the remote forests of Siberia, far away from any trace of civilization. Their home became the vast, wild taiga. The family consisted of 7 members: Lykov, the father, Akulina, the mother, and their 5 children, ranging from toddlers to teenagers. None of the children had ever seen the outside world. They had no idea of cities, cars, electricity, or even what a doctor looked like. Their entire existence revolved around survival, living by the rhythm of the seasons, guided by ancient knowledge passed down through generations. They built a crude cabin from logs and tree bark, their only shelter from the brutal Siberian winters where temperatures often dropped below -40 degrees Celsius. Without modern tools or supplies, they crafted handmade knives, bows, and fishing gear. Their clothing was sewn from reindeer hides and animal skins, carefully preserved to withstand the biting cold. Their daily life was a relentless struggle. They hunted wild game, squirrels, deer, and sometimes even bears, and fished the cold rivers for sustenance. Gathering berries, roots, and edible plants was crucial, especially in the harsh winters when food was scarce. They grew small gardens, tending to potatoes and other hardy vegetables with primitive tools. Living alone in the wilderness meant constant vigilance. Wolves roamed nearby, and the forest held countless dangers. Yet, it was also their protector, a vast, silent guardian shielding them from the outside world they had abandoned. As years passed, the Lykovs lost all contact with humanity. They remained unaware of major world events, the devastation of World War II, political upheavals, and technological advancements. Their only measure of time was the change of seasons and the cycles of the forest. Their story was almost forgotten until 1978, when a group of Soviet geologists stumbled upon them. The world learned about the family that had lived completely alone for 28 years, untouched by modern society, embodying a remarkable tale of endurance, faith, and survival. For the Lykov family, every day was a battle against nature, and the brutal forces that came with it. Siberia is not just a vast forest, it is a land of extremes. Winters stretch on for months, with temperatures so low they freeze your breath mid-air. Summers, though short, bring swarms of mosquitoes and relentless rain. Surviving here requires more than courage, it demands knowledge, resilience, and absolute harmony with the wild. Karp, the family patriarch, was not only their leader but also their teacher and protector. With no formal education and no contact with the outside world, he relied on folk knowledge passed down through generations. He taught his children how to recognize edible plants, track animals, and navigate the endless forest. Water was scarce in the depths of winter when rivers and lakes froze solid. The family learned to collect snow and melt it over fire, conserving every drop carefully. Hunting was crucial, but dangerous. They fashioned bows from tree branches and arrows tipped with sharp stones. The forest was alive with predators, wolves, bears, and even elusive lynxes, all threats to their fragile existence. The family's diet was simple but varied: wild roots, berries, fish, and meat from small game. But famine was a constant threat. One harsh winter, a failed hunt led to days without food. Hunger gnawed at their bodies, and the youngest children became weak and ill. Karp and Akulina fought to keep hope alive, telling stories and praying, drawing strength from their faith. Their religion was a cornerstone of their survival. The Lykovs were Old Believers, a sect of Russian Orthodox Christians who rejected reforms made by the Church centuries earlier. Their faith was strict, guiding every part of their lives. They had no books, no icons, but they prayed daily and upheld rituals, clinging to traditions as tightly as to life itself. Isolation affected their language and understanding. The children spoke a dialect that became unique over decades, full of words unfamiliar even to their rescuers. They had no concept of the modern world, no electricity, no technology, no idea about planes or cars. Their knowledge was rooted entirely in the forest and their faith. Despite the hardships, moments of joy and wonder existed. In spring, the forest came alive with birdsong and wildflowers. The children played near the river, their laughter echoing among the trees. They learned to make simple toys, carved from wood, and celebrated small victories, a successful hunt, a new sprout in their garden. But tragedy also marked their existence. Over the years, the family lost members to illness and accidents. The harsh conditions took their toll. Akulina's health deteriorated, and without medicine or doctors, the family had no choice but to rely on herbal remedies and sheer endurance. The world outside moved on, unaware of the family hidden deep in the taiga. Meanwhile, the Lykovs marked time by the changing seasons, the growth of plants, and the movement of the stars. Their story was one of survival, but also of profound solitude. It wasn't until 1978, nearly 3 decades later, that geologists exploring the region stumbled upon the family. What they found was astonishing: a family living as if frozen in time, untouched by modern civilization, still holding on to faith, hope, and the will to live. The moment when the Lykov family was discovered was nothing short of surreal. For decades, they had lived without any knowledge of the outside world, completely cut off, surviving solely through their own strength, faith, and connection to nature. When Soviet geologists stumbled upon their remote cabin in 1978, they found a family that seemed to belong to another time. The encounter was both a cultural and emotional shock. The Lykovs were cautious, suspicious even, of these strangers who spoke a different language and wore strange clothes. For the family, human contact had been reduced to memories and distant stories passed down by carp. Their entire world was the forest, and now, suddenly, they faced the vast unknown. Over time, the geologists learned about the family's incredible life. Carp was aged and frail, but his eyes held a fierce determination. He shared stories of their survival, of the many hardships endured, the bitter cold, the hunger, the isolation. The children, now grown adults, were curious but overwhelmed by the flood of new information. They had no concept of cities, technology, or modern life. Medical examinations revealed the toll that 28 years of isolation had taken. Some family members suffered from malnutrition and poor health, but remarkably, they had survived with minimal external help. The doctors were amazed at their physical resilience, a testament to their harsh but disciplined lifestyle. The family's faith remained unshaken. Despite the intrusion of the outside world, they clung to their old believer beliefs, refusing to abandon the traditions that had sustained them through decades of hardship. Their prayers, rituals, and daily routines had been their anchor. However, the outside world was relentless. Over the next years, the Lykovs were introduced to modern life, radios, food stores, clothes, even schooling. But this transition was painful. The family struggled to adapt to a world filled with noise, crowds, and technology. Some of them chose to return to the forest, longing for the peace and freedom they once knew. Karp, the patriarch, passed away shortly after the family was found. His death marked the end of an era, a man who had led his family through unimaginable trials, who had preserved a way of life that seemed lost in time. The Lykov family story raises profound questions about humanity, our relationship with nature, the price of isolation, and the limits of survival. What does it mean to live truly free? How much of our identity depends on society, and how much is rooted in faith and connection to the land? Today, their story stands as a powerful reminder of resilience. It challenges us to reflect on what we take for granted: our technology, our comfort, our constant connectivity. The Lykov survived 28 years alone in the Siberian wilderness, a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds.